On November 27, 2025, the leaders of several post-Soviet states convened in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, for an important summit of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, or CSTO. The meeting, hosted by Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov, saw the participation of key figures from the CSTO member states: Russian President Vladimir Putin, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, and Tajik President Emomali Rahmon were all present. The discussions in Bishkek are expected to touch upon several pressing issues, primarily concerning regional security, military cooperation, and the future of the CSTO itself. The CSTO, established in 1992 after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, functions as a mutual defense pact. Its current members include Russia, Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. The organization was created in part to maintain stability and cooperation among former Soviet republics, with a focus on collective defense. Over the years, the CSTO has been involved in various regional security operations, including peacekeeping missions and joint military exercises. However, the group has faced challenges in recent years, including internal disagreements and questions about its relevance in the current geopolitical climate. The timing of the Bishkek summit is particularly significant due to the ongoing geopolitical tensions in the region, as well as the shifting alliances within the CSTO. The absence of Armenia from the meeting is one of the most notable developments. Armenia, traditionally a strong ally of Russia within the CSTO, has been absent from the organization's meeting since 2023. This was a direct result of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, during which Moscow failed to intervene on Armenia's behalf as Azerbaijani forces made advances in the contested region. Armenia's disappointment with Moscow's lack of support led to a suspension of its participation in CSTO activities, which has created a rift within the organization. The situation in Nagorno-Karabakh and its aftermath has cast a shadow over the CSTO's unity and its credibility as a collective defense organization. At the Bishkek summit, the heads of state posed for a formal group photograph at the presidential residence Intimak Ordo, also known as the Unity Palace. The moment was captured in a wide shot that featured President Putin, President Lukashenko, President Tokayev, President Japarov, President Rahmon, and CSTO Secretary General Imangali Tasmagambetov. This public display of unity, despite the absence of Armenia, was an important symbolic gesture, underscoring the continuing strength of the CSTO as a political and military alliance, even as the organization faces internal challenges. Following the group photo, the leaders proceeded to engage in discussions behind closed doors. The atmosphere at the summit was expected to be one of cordiality and cooperation, but there were also underlying tensions regarding the direction of the CSTO and its role in regional conflicts. The presence of leaders from key member states, including Russia and Belarus, signals Moscow's continued leadership within the organization. However, the absence of Armenia highlights the growing divide within the CSTO, particularly regarding the bloc's failure to adequately address security concerns in Nagorno-Karabakh. The absence of Armenian officials, once a core member of the CSTO, underlines the shifting political dynamics that are taking place in the post-Soviet space. The meeting also comes at a time of heightened tensions between Russia and Western powers, particularly the United States and the European Union. The ongoing war in Ukraine, which has now entered its third year, remains a central point of contention between Moscow and the West. The CSTO summit in Bishkek is expected to serve as a platform for Putin and his allies to discuss their positions on the conflict, as well as broader issues related to security and defense. It is also an opportunity for the CSTO leaders to reinforce their commitment to mutual defense and counter any perceived threats from outside the region, particularly from NATO. Russia's role in the CSTO remains pivotal. As the dominant military and political force within the organization, Moscow's leadership sets the tone for the group's operations and priorities. The CSTO's involvement in security operations, including peacekeeping missions in countries such as Tajikistan, is largely driven by Russian interests. However, Moscow's involvement in regional conflicts, including its failure to intervene in Nagorno-Karabakh, has raised questions about its commitment to the collective defense of its allies. For Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, the CSTO remains a key pillar of his regime's foreign policy. Since the controversial 2020 presidential elections, which led to widespread protests and accusations of electoral fraud, Lukashenko has relied heavily on Russian support to maintain his grip on power. The CSTO provides Lukashenko with a mechanism to strengthen ties with Moscow, while also reinforcing his position domestically. Belarus has also played a significant role in the CSTO's military operations, and Lukashenko's attendance at the Bishkek summit underscores Belarus's continued support for the organization and its leadership under Russia. Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev's presence at the summit is equally important. Kazakhstan has long maintained a delicate balance between its relations with Russia and the West, and the CSTO has been a key element of its security strategy. However, Kazakhstan has also sought to diversify its foreign policy, particularly in the aftermath of the 2022 unrest, which saw large-scale protests and a Russian-led CSTO intervention to restore order. The presence of Tokayev at the Bishkek summit signals Kazakhstan's continued participation in the CSTO, but also reflects the complex and evolving nature of its regional security policies. Tajikistan, led by President Emomali Rahmon, remains one of the most steadfast supporters of the CSTO. Tajikistan shares a long border with Afghanistan, and its security concerns are heavily influenced by the instability in its southern neighbor. The CSTO has provided Tajikistan with a sense of security against potential threats from extremist groups operating in Afghanistan. Rahmon's attendance at the summit reinforces Tajikistan's commitment to the CSTO and its reliance on Russian support to address regional security challenges. Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov, as the host of the summit, plays a key role in shaping the discussions and the direction of the CSTO. Kyrgyzstan, while a member of the CSTO, has often navigated its foreign policy with a degree of independence. The country's strategic location in Central Asia places it at the crossroads of competing regional interests, and the CSTO provides Japarov with a platform to engage with both Russia and other regional actors. However, Kyrgyzstan's involvement in the CSTO has been marked by an effort to maintain good relations with both Moscow and the West, as well as a focus on strengthening its own security and stability. One of the key topics likely to be addressed during the summit is the future of the CSTO in light of Armenia's absence and the broader regional security environment. The CSTO's ability to effectively address internal divisions and external threats will be crucial to its continued relevance in the years ahead. The absence of Armenia from the summit highlights the challenges facing the organization in maintaining cohesion among its members, particularly when national interests and security concerns diverge. Despite these challenges, the CSTO remains an important part of the regional security architecture. The organization's military capabilities, particularly its peacekeeping forces and joint military exercises, continue to provide a measure of stability in Central Asia. However, the CSTO's credibility will be tested by its ability to address emerging security threats, such as the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the potential for instability in Afghanistan. As the Bishkek summit progresses, it is expected that the CSTO leaders will issue a joint statement reaffirming their commitment to mutual defense and security cooperation. The summit provides an opportunity for the leaders to discuss a wide range of issues, including the evolving security situation in Central Asia, the role of external actors in the region, and the future of the CSTO itself. The absence of Armenia, however, remains a significant issue that will likely overshadow the summit's discussions. Armenia's decision to suspend its participation in CSTO activities in response to Russia's failure to intervene in Nagorno-Karabakh has left a lasting impact on the organization's cohesion. The CSTO's response to this crisis will be closely scrutinized, as it could determine the organization's future role in regional security. In conclusion, the Bishkek summit of the Collective Security Treaty Organization marks an important moment for the organization and its member states. The participation of key leaders, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, and Tajik President Emomali Rahmon, underscores the continued importance of the CSTO as a regional security alliance. However, the absence of Armenia highlights ongoing challenges within the organization, particularly in terms of internal cohesion and its ability to address regional crises effectively. As the summit progresses, the CSTO leaders will need to navigate these challenges and reaffirm their commitment to collective security in an increasingly complex and volatile region.